In this video, we're going to be taking a look at adding custom composer package to our module. We're going to require and set up the composer merge plugin. We're going to add a composer.json file to our custom module, and we're going to make sure that the package pulls to the correct vendor folder. So here we have a Drupal instance installed, and if we take a look at the code base of this Drupal instance, we're going to see that in the web modules folder and in the custom folder there, we already created a simple module that just has a info YAML file. And here we're going to be declaring our composer.json file. But first, in order to make it discoverable, we would have to require the Wikipedia Composer Merge plugin. And if we take a look in our general composer.json file, we see that we don't have that plugin required. So if we search for composer merge, we see that we don't have it, and we're going to simply jump to the terminal of our project, and if we go back to the folder where we have the composer.json file, we're going to simply do a composer require and the Wikipedia Composer Merge plugin. Perfect, so now we have the Composer Merge plugin downloaded. So in order to configure it, as we see on Drupal.org, we see that we would have to add this extra bit. So under extra, we would have to add some setting for the merge plugin. So if we copy it and if we open our composer.json file, we see that there is already here a section that is called extra, and we could simply put a comma here and add the bit that we just copied from Drupal.org. And in our case it's a bit different, because if you see that basically the example there is with docroot, and in our instance it's web, the folder where we have the Drupal core. So we're going to simply change it to web here, web, and the other bit makes sense because it says modules custom, and here actually it says example, but there is a really good example that just uses star there instead of example, which says every module that is in modules custom, and it would search for a composer.json file inside of that folder. So we're going to now jump to our modules folder. So we jump to web, modules, custom, and it's called Drupal up-utils. And we're going to be doing a composer init. With composer init, usually you're creating simply a composer.json file, and there is a simple wizard. It proposes here the namespace and the package name. It's okay. Description, no need. Author is okay. Stability is okay. Package, we're going to say this is important. We're going to say Drupal module. So this is the correct value for a package if you're going to be contributing this module. And license is okay, and we're not going to be requiring first because it's a bit messy, and it would generate first just this composer JSON file, which is perfectly fine for us. And if we now have a look, we would see that now we have a composer JSON file here. And what we want to do is we want to do a composer require, and we want to add a package here. So we're going to add this simple package that is generating random names, and we're going to simply do a composer require inside of the module folder. So we're doing composer require like this, and it's generating something that we actually don't want exactly like this. It's creating a composer log file, which we don't want, so I'll just delete it. And it is also adding a vendor folder here, which we don't want. We don't want a vendor folder here. And the tricky part is that we're going to have now a composer.json file with the correct package required here, which is perfect. And now if we jump back to our Drupal folder with the composer file, if we switch here, and we see that we have the composer.json file, and that's the root of our Drupal project. And as we make sure that we have here again the correct setup with the merge plugin, and the merge plugin we have here required, we're going to do a composer update. And this should now download the package that we required inside of our custom module, but this time it's going to download it in the general vendor folder. So it sounds a bit messy, but basically we're not having here a additional vendor folder, but we're using the vendor folder for the general Drupal project, which basically means that also the auto loading would be working, and we're going to be able to use that package from everywhere inside of our Drupal project. So let's go ahead and do a composer update, because if we did just composer install, since we already have a composer log file, the install was going to ignore the new setting. But since we're doing a composer update, it's basically also going to update the composer log file, and it's going to download the package inside of the correct vendor folder. That looks perfect. So if we now have a look at our code base, we see that now there is no vendor folder here. And if we check the vendor folder here, we see that under something with N, yes, nubs, the random name generator is actually here in the correct vendor folder. And I'm going to show you in the next video how you could use that package inside of your module. If you like this video, please have a look at the links in the description below. Comment, subscribe, have a look at the Patreon page of Drupal Up, and thanks for watching.